The Walking Dead, Season 8, Episode 4. Uh, so we have come at last to the end of the high action episodes. Probably at least for this first half of the season. And the episode pretty much starts where episode 3 left off, where King Ezekiel's group from the kingdom are doing really well. And then they all start getting shot up at the end of episode 3, and they continue to get shot up in the beginning of episode 4, and they're pretty much all dead and starting to turn, no less. And a whole bunch of them grabbed onto Ezekiel to shield him from bullets. So he's kind of got to dig his way out, and he also I think he got shot in the leg, so he's not able to move around much. One of his guys is still around and helps him, but he gets shot by a savior, a really annoying savior. This really nerdy guy. I don't know that we ever got his name. Really, like he's got like a light blue button-down shirt with a white t-shirt underneath. He's got glasses on, and like he just looks like a nerd, but since he has a gun, he's got power over Ezekiel. So, of course, Negan wants Ezekiel, Maggie, and Rick all alive, and everyone else can be killed if they get caught. And a lot of this episode was just this sickly-looking dude trying to keep Ezekiel ahead of the walkers and walk him to, get him to a compound of the saviors. But it seemed like this happened 3 times where Ezekiel falls down, the savior puts the gun to his face. You think he's going to shoot him, but then he doesn't, and then he gets him up and they start walking again. It happens 3 times where there's some dialogue back and forth between them, and it's overdone by far. Jerry, of course, comes back and saves him. Jerry's still kicking. You remember Jerry, right? Big guy, looks like he might be Filipino.
Yeah.
Funny guy. He takes an axe through this guy. Nice. Chops his trunk in 2. And it was done really well.
Does his body come apart completely?
No.
Okay.
He just flays it. It's cool because it's with an axe. So once they get, reunited, then Ezekiel's got a better chance. Carol, on the other hand, she goes into the compound where they started shooting up the guys from the kingdom from, and their whole point, and at this compound, this is where the guns are, that the whole point of all this was for, is to track down these big caliber guns that Negan has. And Rick and Daryl have been trying to hunt down. So Carol finds them, and she does some really cool, she's kind of doing stealth stuff. She's going around this corridor and hallways and stuff. And when they are carrying the guns out, all of a sudden, these 4 guys just carrying these big guns, because it takes 2 guys to carry 1 gun. She just shoots them through the ceiling. Now more guys come, and she can't do anything with those guns, but she's able to get away from them. They have a bit of a stalemate outside where she's hiding behind a Jeep, and there's some saviors who are trying to get those guns to a different location, because now the location's been compromised. And Carol's trying to stop them. The long and short of it is, Carol gets reunited with Ezekiel and saves, and there is a part where Ezekiel and Jerry are so this is where my suspension of disbelief failed, because they are trying to get through a chain link fence to get away from walkers. There's a heavy lock and chain on this fence. Jerry has an axe, and he's trying to destroy the heavy chain with the axe while walkers are attacking them. Do you see a problem here?
Yes.
What's the problem?
Someone trying to use an axe to break a chain.
When the fence itself is a chain link fence, the chain link is much thinner than the chain you're trying to cut through with an axe. You're going to have a much easier time cutting a hole in the fence than trying to break that stupid lock. Like, I couldn't believe it at that point. I was like, guys, okay. I can accept the fact that most people know that, or don't know, that gasoline breaks down after about a year of it being refined and you can't use it anymore. And we're long past that at this point in The Walking Dead. So all the gasoline would actually be useless. But I get it. Not most people know that. People just assume gas is good forever. And they do a reasonable job of keeping guns, like, you know, people run out of shots fairly appropriately. But this pushed me too far. I was like, come on, guys. Really? Cut a hole in the fence. The walkers are still not going to be able to get through it because they're not going to think to open it. You know, they don't have fine motor skills. So Carol saves them from the fence. And they're trying to get back to the kingdom. And at one point, in front of Carol and Jerry, because Jerry, you know, is all in on this whole king thing. And at one point he breaks character. He's just like, I'm not a king. I'm just a dude. I'm just a guy. To Jerry. And Jerry's like, no, you're not. You're a lot more than that. And, you know, pulls him up and they keep trudging through. I want to say that another thing that happened before I get to the ending, Rick and Daryl chase that Jeep with the guns. They were actually heading to where Carol was, but since that guy headed out there with the guns on a Jeep, they had vehicles. I think Rick had a Jeep of his own, and then Daryl had a motorcycle, and they did this really cool, like, highway chase with, like, shooting at each other, and then they actually get one of the big guns mounted on the back of their Jeep, the two Saviors, and they start firing at both of them, and, you know, they make Daryl wipe out on his bike, and they do some cool stuff with cinematography. Definitely watch the episode. Get caught up. Will you?
I don't have cable.
You should be here Sunday nights then. Anyway. They end up trashing, or the vehicle that the guns are in ends up falling off into a ditch. So, think they have the guns. So that's Daryl and Rick. Not much else happens with them. I don't believe really much else happens with Maggie either. It's a very Kingdom and Ezekiel focused episode. So right before, towards the end of the episode, they get saved by Shiva. But Shiva gets killed by the walkers. They just gang up on her and surround her, and that was a little bit strange because she just kind of like shrunk into like where they were and like didn't really. It's like, okay, it's a tiger. I figure a tiger would do a lot more to defend itself, but she doesn't. She just takes out a couple of walkers, saves them, and then they eat her. So that was kind of shocking. Like, I thought they were going to keep the tiger around for a bit longer than that. So Ezekiel comes home to the kingdom, and it's his whole thing was he kept saying not one of our ranks, like not we won't lose a single one of our ranks, and the only people to come home are him, Carol, and Jerry. So he's pretty devastated from that. Just losing a lot of people. And they kind of do this cheap thing too, where they did a flashback where you see like all the people that just got shot up. You see them like right before they head out on this mission, and like you see them with their families. Like most of them are married and they have kids. It's like I was, when this was happening, I was like, that's cheap. That is really cheap to do that after the fact that they're dead, because you didn't care about them when they're just like they're just scenery, but now you do. It's just like, thanks AMC, make me feel like a human being. But yeah, good episode. This ends, I believe, the showrunner said that the first 4 episodes are going to cover like a lot of the action stuff. So now we'll probably get some slowdown. Now we might actually find out what happens with Negan and Gabriel being in the same trailer surrounded by walkers. Sounds like a fun time to me.